Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not gleeful or happy that this is taking place. Even if somebody disagrees with me politically, I don't want them to lose their job and not have the ability to feed their families. That's what the left does. What they do, they utilize Twitter, they utilize past tweets or distort one's political ideology or viewpoints, label them the most monstrous, diabolical terms that don't fit the individual, but makes the person leveling the accusation feel good about themselves. So oftentimes morally superior, wonderful liberal Democrats or the far left, what they'll do is they'll accuse somebody of being something they're not. This extreme monster of a pundit or of a voice, and that gets other media outlets to then write hit pieces. The whole thing's a public relations monstrosity. The left does that all the time. Media Matters. They'll go ahead and find an organization or find a candidate and distort their political views to get sponsors or to get. It's not just Media Matters. A whole bunch of people on the left. What they'll do is they'll try to hit people in the pocketbook because their ideas on the left don't resonate with most people. So they have to bully, coerce, intimidate, and silence opposition. So if they don't go after sponsors or hit somebody in the pocketbook, what left-leaning pundits or journalists will do is they'll write hit pieces hoping that GoFundMe or Patreon or any platform will deplatform them. Okay, that happens all the time on the left, and it's an organized effort to silence debate, discourse, discussion, dialogue. It oftentimes starts on Twitter. Now, you see other companies, Netflix subscribers, they've lost 640,000 subscribers because people want to be entertained. I don't want Netflix employees to be laid off. I don't want Twitter employees to be laid off. But the average person watching Netflix wants to be entertained, not educated, not indoctrinated. We'll leave it at that for the moment. But here, Elon Musk's plan for making money with Twitter reportedly includes job cuts. This is about an hour ago, less than an hour ago. Publicly, Musk has indicated that he isn't interested in Twitter for the money. Well, of course he is. I'm not going to purchase something. Twitter is not going to be what makes him a great deal of money, but he doesn't want it to be a money-losing venture in the manner that it is now. It's going to. If Musk didn't purchase Twitter, it would have completely folded eventually. It would have been the MySpace of the internet. And I've been saying that for months and months and months now. You can look back. And I was saying, yeah, this is a platform that is about to expire. There's no need for it. It's just endless. It's an echo chamber on the left for wonderful, morally superior liberal Democrats to just, tell the world how monstrous Trump is as GDP plummets. So GDP numbers came out today. They're lower than expected. Our economy is contracting. And we have inflation through the roof. Wealth inequality is increasing. The disparity between the ultra wealthy and people mired in poverty has increased. Let's see. They haven't combated climate change. They're trying to pump as much strategic oil reserves as possible because mashed potato brains President Biden came in wanting to save the planet and implement infrastructure projects, when in reality he had to focus on economic growth. Then he had, 12, 14 states sue him in addition to oil and gas companies. I wrote about that in the Federalist. Hit subscribe to the Stock Market Crash channel below and hit subscribe to this channel. The Stock Market Crash channel, I have a very important segment on what we're talking about right now. But this is an actual article in The Verge. As part of his pitch to raise funds to acquire Twitter, Elon Musk apparently floated the idea of cutting jobs at Twitter to improve its bottom line. None of this would be happening, and again, I'm not gleefully saying this, you wouldn't have layoffs at Netflix and you wouldn't have layoffs at Twitter if both platforms ran as what they were initially intended to achieve, or if those platforms remained what they initially intended to become, then or stayed true to their initial purpose or mission statements, then none of this would be happening. Again, I don't gleefully say any of this. Hit subscribe to this channel. We're almost at 200,000 subs, ladies and gentlemen. People say, well, I don't like when you say hit subscribe. It's like, well, I'm sorry, I have to hit 200,000 and beyond. I'm doing it all myself, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not following any ideology that is like this passing, fleeting, cult-like ideology on the left or the right. I am just, 73 million Americans who voted for President Trump, many of whom voted for Bernie Sanders in 2016. I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post in 2016. The unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters, according to the Washington Post. Now, you had record low unemployment with Trump, and with mashed potato brains Biden, we have record highs in inflation, gas prices and energy prices, and GDP contracting, and we're heading into a recession. So who's the better president? If then we didn't have the geopolitical nightmare we had in Europe under Trump. He negotiated the Doha Agreement, which is what I was hoping Bernie Sanders would do. See, Bernie Sanders 2016 is a direct line to Trump 2020 or 2024, a direct line because of the policies. Foreign policy is a catastrophe on the left, an absolute catastrophe. You see what's taking place. Twitter became a place where you can just put a little symbol or icon next to your name if you were a morally superior person, highly educated but almost always apoplectic on the left. And you could put a little icon near your name or whatever phrase you want near your name to show that you were so ethical and moral and fighting for justice, while at the same time you voted for policies that tanked the economy and tanked U.S. foreign policy. It's like DeSantis telling Californians, if you come to Florida, don't continue to do what you're doing in Florida and Texas, which is taking policies that actually push. So what happens is you have Californians and people and other New Yorkers moving to Texas, moving to Florida, and they bring their failed ideology and policies with them. It's like, no, you're leaving these states because the blue states you're in are in absolute chaos and havoc with homelessness and taxes and just crime. And so you're bringing the mentality. You're bringing the policies. But again, it's like it goes in one ear, out the other. They don't realize how hypocritical it is to leave a blue state for a red state and keep your policies, keep your warped ideology. But see, again, I was on the left. I saw what took place. This type, if you want to call it woke, if you want to say, it makes people go broke or makes companies go broke, this is a cult-like mentality. The left, people on the left, what they do is they wake up every day, they say, how can I pretend that I'm fighting for justice and fighting against inequality and fighting against authoritarianism and fighting against this and fighting against that? What they don't realize is they're the greatest authoritarians alive today. They want to stifle speech, suppress and silence any dissent. They want interventions. They don't want to, have you ever asked why mashed potato brains isn't trying to negotiate peace between those two countries in Europe? Have you ever asked that? Has a Netflix or Twitter employee ever asked that? Probably not. And again, that doesn't mean they deserve to be laid off. I mean, look, Elon Musk is gonna fire people. He's not gonna have everyone who works at Twitter, almost everyone, or I should say a great many people, or I should say some people in high powered positions within Twitter despise Elon Musk. Well, if you own a company, why would you keep people who despise you, who have utter contempt for you, who would backstab you, who would give your competitors information about you? Why would you do that? It's like friends of yours who've disowned you because of Trump. Are you ever going to trust them again? Okay? So it's the same thing. You have people on the left, and Elon Musk talked about this, they either moved way to the left or it became, being a Democrat or voting blue, no matter who, became part of their soul, their spirit. They are unable to see why anybody would vote Republican because they focus on only 10 or 5 or 2% of what the overall pie would be in terms of why one would vote conservative or Republican or Trump or DeSantis. They don't get it. So I don't want anyone laid off. I think that's horrible. But if you have Netflix with programming that Elon Musk says unwatchable, and it's true, I used to watch Netflix all the time. Then the programming became more of, let's teach you about morality. I used to be on Twitter. I don't have Twitter. It's been 3 years. Twitter was a platform for like a second where you can actually just talk about ideas. Then it became preaching and moralizing and sermons and condemnation and judgment. And when you have left-leaning people talking about, this conservative personality or this, this person quote tweeted somebody on Twitter, and then that person got, a response from all these conservatives, and it was so mean. It's like that happens every single day on the left. There are groups on the left that roam around Twitter and cyberspace and message boards that just try to demean, insult, disparage people every single day on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. People are losing their lives from it, but you don't hear about that. You only hear about people who lose their lives from, speech or negative comments that they don't like. But it's this nasty, like chaotic, dystopian environment where only negativity reigns supreme. And the negativity really revolves around ideologies that people don't want to accept as normal or logical or rational. And if you have a whole lot of people who think your ideology makes no sense, and you ban any dissent, and you ban and you suppress and you suspend the New York Post, for example, and people are going to have, they're going to push back. They're going to have disdain for what you're doing. They're not going to like a platform that views everything as either disinformation from the Kremlin or, harmful speech if it hurts the Democratic Party. It's a racket. None of the people that work at Twitter and none of the people that work at Netflix, I would say almost everyone, okay, you say maybe 99% voted for mashed potato brains, maybe one or two people, maybe out of thousands of people voted for Trump. How about nobody? Probably nobody in these corporations voted for Trump. And you have these corporations serving as an extension of the Democratic Party. This has never happened before. Politics is one element of life, and it's not even really an important element of life because at the end of the day, there are good and bad for each political party. You can live 4 years. That's why you can live 4 years with an opposing political party running the country. Okay, even look, we see what's taking place is categorically and objectively worse under mashed potato brains Biden in every way. There's no debate about that economically, foreign policy, but we can live through this, we'll survive. There'll be a market crash. I've predicted that. I told you GDP would plummet. How many times did I tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the whole thing's going to tank? Netflix stock tanked. Everything's going to tank. I have a stock market crash channel for a reason. But you have this mentality, vote blue no matter who, then they keep cheating Bernie Sanders. They keep cheating their candidates, and then you get mashed potato brains, who is the antithesis of somebody on the left. But that's okay, because it's vote blue no matter who. They came in with failed ideologies. They're going out with failed ideologies. And midterms is going to be a red wave. Democrats are going to get absolutely obliterated. You have left-leaning tech companies laying off employees. You have the country descending into economic and foreign policy turmoil. But at least the media is happy, and at least the DC establishment is happy. They're content that they can breathe easy now. There's no Trump. But, DeSantis is on the horizon, and they're obsessing over Marjorie Taylor Greene, which I agree also is a political liability for the Republican Party. And people say, oh, she's great. At what cost? At what cost? I'm trying to tell people, if you give indignation is a currency for the left. It is the lifeblood. It is the soul, the fuel. It is their lifeblood. Indignation. You just don't have to always give them indignation with gazpacho police. That's why with Trump, calm down. Now they really can't touch Trump. The New York probe is ending. DeSantis is a toned-down version of Trump, but just as effective. They can't. If you have a toned-down version of Trump, just as effective, DeSantis is in some ways even better than Trump on a national stage. Although I like Trump a lot, but that's what the left does. They focus only on, oh my God, she's a monster, a monster. Republicans are now controlled by nutty people. As GDP plummets, inflation goes through the roof, gas prices go through the roof, inflation's a tax. Real GDP is down 2.7 to 3%. Are you kidding me? And again, I feel for the people being laid off. But every day on social media, how many times have you seen a conservative get deplatformed, either on any platform, this or Twitter or Facebook, and gleefully they would be so happy, the left. Oh my God, they'd be so happy. And I don't want that to happen even to adversaries, political adversaries, because they have to put food on the table. But this is a game and a nasty, sinister competition you started. And it's not even conservatives doing it or, former Bernie Sanders support. It's actually just the ideologies are tanking these companies. You have people afraid to speak out, afraid to say, hey, this makes no sense, because they'll be labeled a prejudicial, horrible monster, a bigoted monster. And it's just a matter of pretending that you care about this or that and just voting blue no matter who. It's a racket. That's why you have the $20 million venture capital people who will never really acknowledge that Bernie Sanders was cheated, that Trump was set up and framed in the same manner Bernie Sanders was cheated. Anyway, God bless the people who are, suffering with layoffs now. I don't want that to take place, but at the same time, Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert and Seth Meyers and all these people, they're on network television. So network television is still it's still archaic enough to where there's really no alternative when you're watching your television. There is, but there's still some prestige to late night. Okay, there's not an alternative really to late night. There could easily be on Netflix, but there's not an alternative. Okay, the alternative would have to be either poking fun or making fun of Democrats, or being apolitical and making fun of both sides, equally. But when you have a streaming service, it could be CNN Plus, or it could be Netflix, or it could be, if you're on the internet in any way, shape, or form, you better be unique in some way, and you have to be yourself. Okay. I didn't become a supporter of President Trump to be popular. It took me a million years to even get close to 200,000 subs. And believe me, I got a lot of heat for it. But because I'm genuine, it kind of resonates with my viewers. Good luck trying to start an anti-Trump channel now on YouTube. Or, a vote blue no matter who, liberal Democratic channel on YouTube. There's too many of them. And they're all at 1 million subs. Because it's millennial CNN. But at the same time, CNN's tanking. So there's go look at the liberal channels now, or the far left, or the whatever. Go look at them. What are they, 1 million to 4 million sub channels? What are they talking about? Marjorie Taylor Greene. They're not talking about inflation. They're not talking about GDP. They're not talking about wealth inequality. They're certainly not talking about climate change, because Biden's jettisoned all of that. They're not talking about foreign policy. It stinks. And you can't really talk about it too much. They're not talking about homelessness. They're not talking about crime. They're not talking about all the terrible things taking place under mashed potato brains. They're talking about, oh my God, look how horrible and illogical and irrational and Neanderthal-like these Republicans are. And it's well, at the end of the day, you're going to probably eventually have to focus on the failures of the president you voted for. Anyway, hit subscribe to this channel. Elon Musk is not going to keep around employees that despise him. And Netflix is not going to, it's losing 600, how many subs? They're losing 640,000 subscribers in one quarter. That's what happens when your reason for existing changes and becomes an extension of one political party. And not even one political party, an ideology that is actually not even really endorsed. Ideology is not really endorsed by the Democratic Party, but kind of endorsed, used to just funnel voters back into the Democratic Party and the vote blue no matter who. Absurd, mindset. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe right now. I'll have a segment on the stock market crash channel right this second after this segment. Thank you.